here with two legends of the screen, Tony Todd, Robert Englund, two guys that we all grew up watching, and we continue to watch in movies like Hatchet, which is coming out this fall. We've heard amazing things about it. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about the movie?
Well, Tony's got the meaty role. I'm more of a cameo in Hatchet, but it's basically a return to hardcore, old-school horror. Without the CGI, without the bells and whistles, this is just relentless, wonderful horror. This kid, Adam Green, has come out of left field, and he's one of the most gifted young directors I've worked with. And Kane Hodder, who many of you know as Jason from all the Friday the 13th movies, is working on a new franchise as far as I'm concerned. Right. He wears more makeup than I ever wore as Freddy Krueger. He's got not only the head and the face, but his entire back. He looks like a stegosaurus in heat.
To be honest, you're better looking.
Much better looking.
And Robert is actually in one of the first scenes of the movie, so right away all the horror fans are going to say, product identification, there's a man, we know we're going in for a thrilling roller coaster of a ride.
But, I mean, you two guys, when you guys come on a film like this, because like I told you before the interview, we had Scott Glosserman on our show, who directed you in Behind the Mask. It brings a legitimacy to the horror. It brings fans with it. They trust that this is going to be a good quality horror film when they see your faces.
Well, that's really flattering. I don't know if either one of us really wake up thinking that, you know what, I'm an icon. You know, I try to avoid that, but it's I guess it's but I guess it's a reward, the fact that we both took not only whatever roles it is that brought us to the attention of people, but we took our work and craft seriously. And we will do nothing less than to do our best for the fans.
Now we go back and see your films.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, for instance, I knew Tony's work way before Candyman, and way after. Tony's, you know, I don't think of Tony as a monster guy. Although, you know, I got to tell you, Candyman is a classic, an out-and-out classic film. And, you know,
you said something interesting me earlier today. You have to embrace it. You can't run it. There are a lot of guys that get twisted about, oh, my God, I don't want to be identified as that. You just have to embrace it. And enjoy it. I had done probably 15 feature films and a successful TV series before Freddy Krueger. That's right.
And I was part of the 70s Renaissance. I worked with Bob Rafelson, who did 5 Easy Pieces and introduced the world to Jack Nicholson. I worked with Robert Mulligan, who directed To Kill a Mockingbird. I worked with Robert Aldrich, who directed Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I worked with Daniel Petrie, who directed Raisin in the Sun. You know, this is the whitest guy in the world, and discovered a half a dozen of the most terrific African-American actors in the United States of America. And I had this, and I was spoiled rotten. And I did this little horror movie because in those days we thought of Wes Craven as David Lynch from Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, and it took off. But what it gave me, the blessing and the happy accident, and Tony knows this too, is when you do a horror movie, they're international in their success. And it opened doors for me in Europe. And Wes Craven taught me to respect the genre. And as Tony says, to embrace the love.
Yeah, because the respect and the outpouring that we get, and I hope I'm speaking for both of us, when we go to strange cities like Vancouver, which a lot of films done there, or anywhere, Canada, you know, Europe, Paris, it's amazing how many people are connected by the love of this genre. And you can't deny that. And as long, you know what?
They're watching right now. At
the end of the day, I'd rather somebody know me for something than not know me for anything, and I'd be stuck in some factory doing something I hated. I love what I do. I love this business.
You also get screen time in the genre when you're a leading man in the genre. And I know Tony knows this. And Tony's done guest stars, and I've done guest stars on the top shows in television. And there have big casts. And you can do your best work and still have that scene cut out. You know what that's like. And yet, when Tony's doing Candyman, or I'm doing a strange, deranged scientist in a little horror movie in Europe or something, I'm able to really breathe on camera. I know they're going to cover me. They're going to let me. Yeah. They're going to give me time because they need me. And that opens doors not only for other roles, but it also helps you as an actor, I think, because you really get that time.
It makes you feel more comfortable in your skin. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all as human beings looking for, is to be comfortable, to accept ourselves, you know?
And then we go back.
And one day, who knows? Maybe we'll get those two classic icons together, teamed up. You know what I'm saying? Freddy. Get ready, Freddy.
So, seeing you guys on the big screen,
Think it and be it. You know what I'm saying? See it and be it.
you gotta project it into being. But it opens up an audience that then goes back and discovers your other films. We were talking about The Beastmaster, which we all love, and you're in that. I discovered you, Robert, in Never Too Young to Die. Now, don't get shy. I bought 2 VHS copies of this film because I ran the other one into the ground. This is the John Stamos classic where he has to battle hermaphroditic Gene Simmons to save. Robert's his scientist who's gonna poison the LA.
First computer nerd in movies. I think I played the first computer nerd ever in movies in that film. Yeah.
You started the stereotype. You started it. You guys are trailblazers. This is amazing. We're sitting with
Can I ask Robert a question? Did you actually audition for Freddy?
Yeah, it was strange. I was doing a play with George Wendt from Cheers.
What was the play?
It was called Journey's End, which is now running. It's now the big hit show on the West End in London. Okay. It's a World War I play. It's an anti-war play. And I had just finished the miniseries of V. And George was making a decision about whether to do this show called Cheers.
Wow.
Or this other show. He actually had 2 pilots at once. Wow. And I was going up on this audition, and I was hanging out at the New Wave clubs then because I was kind of flush on La Brea, and there was one I really liked. They had a great band, and I remember sitting in there, and they had 2 black and white monitors in the bar, and they had a continuous loop of sequences from The Hills Have Eyes. And that's how I knew of Wes Craven. So when I got the interview, I drove over in my old beat-up sports car, and my friend smoked then, and he'd put a cigarette out in my ashtray. And I licked my finger, and I took a little bit of the ash from the ashtray and did circles under my eyes, slicked my hair back because I have a very high hairline, and went in. And you guys can tell I like to talk. I'm run off at the mouth. I zipped my lips, and I just played staring games with Wes Craven and let him articulately and eloquently explain the backstory and the mythology of the Nightmare on Elm Street. I got home, and you'll remember these. Remember that old invention, answering machines? Oh, yeah. I got home, and I had the part.
Wow. Same day. That's incredible. That's how it works.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's not every day you get 2 legends sitting next to you guys.
I have one more thing to say, and that is Freddy versus
Candyman.
At a theater or drive-in near you.
Drive-in, preferably.